What's up, everybody? Welcome to True Crime and Wine Time. I am Jay. We'll cut that out in post T, and I'm here with my co-host.
I am Terry True Crime, and it has already been an adventure tonight. So I think we are in for a fun night.
I'm so sorry if I confused everybody. They were like, wait, what show is this? Hold on. It says this, but this other thing says that. About 2 minutes through the we're streaming soon, Terry sends me a message and goes, it says, why does it say the transcripts? I don't know. I thought it was the right video. No idea. So we will get the right one up instead.
I won't take it personal.
I thought that was a really weird intro audio for that. I should have looked at the actual screen.
It's okay. Like I said, I won't take it personal that you would prefer to be here all alone and not have me, is what you're telling me.
Llama said, I wondered the same. You see, this is why we constantly need producer Tara here. That's
correct. This is what happens.
I'm becoming incapable. I got so happy with how Amy did it the other night on Friday that I apparently forgot how to work this out. And Lady and Grace said, I figured JT started his wine a bit early. You're not wrong?
I was gonna say, I don't think you're wrong, Lady in Gray. And I'm going to apologize up front. Jasper is in his crate having dinner, and he can hear my voice, and he's being a little loud. So he's pawing
Jasper,
at
the Wonder Goat.
I guess he can't paw. He hoofs.
I don't hear any of it.
Okay, good. He's hoofing.
He's hoofing. He's hoofing.
He's hoofing.
Oh, that's what I do when the police are after me.
So how are you, dear? We haven't talked in a couple of days, like physically talked.
Yeah, I know. Busy, not busy, busy. Mostly channel stuff and podcast stuff and going to sleep at a semi-reasonable hour. So which I know it's hard to believe. I know.
I'm like, what's a reasonable hour for you? 2 in the morning?
No. I've except for streaming nights, I've tried to get in bed at like 10, which is unheard of. So I must be broken.
You must be. Well, I'm broken, and for those that were on midday, I did go, and I now have pink and silver. Couldn't get all pink, and it is officially broken in 2 places. And I'll see the hand surgeon when I get back from France to see if it's all healing correctly or if they'll have to re-break it and put little pins in. But at least it's pink.
I told you you should have stopped the street fighting a while ago.
You know?
But if you see Terry's finger, you should see the other guy. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you know what's funny is when the doctor looks at you and he goes, wait a minute. He goes, wasn't the last time I saw you was when you got cat scratch fever from your mother-in-law's house? He goes, my medical recommendation is you don't go near your mother-in-law. And I was like, oh, she lives with me now.
Yeah, did you tell him good luck?
Like, hopefully the cats won't bite me. I know my own windows. I shouldn't get injured. But at least it's pink and not ugly black.
Fair. Well, you know what they say, pink is the new black.
Well, as I told somebody yesterday, is there really any other color besides pink?
I don't know. I suppose not. I don't know. The spectrum is wide, but we could make it an all pink spectrum.
It should be. But yeah, so look, I can now do this and not have to apologize. I can just say, oh, look at my finger. Oh, look at my finger.
All right. So we have a couple of news stories tonight. I'm not gonna play the news thing simply because of what we're gonna go into after that video, because it's not really stupid news.
Yeah.
But last night I had the displeasure on the transcript, which you saw the opening for earlier. See, I was just promoting without a trailer. But I read the 14-page indictment along with some other documents that were unsealed regarding, Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, PD, Love, all of his acronyms. And it was pretty bad. I know you were on the other side listening, so
I I had heard about it in the news, but I hadn't taken the time to really look into it because I'm not a P. Diddy fan, never have been. But I was shocked, and I went back and watched today because since I needed to jump off to spend some time with Double H, I am truly shocked that this man was getting away with that crap for so long and
yeah,
people
yeah,
knew. I
at
had
least
no
30
idea.
years. Yeah, I mean, they track it back 20, but I'm sure it was going on longer than that. So in the 14-pager, I'm not going to read it, obviously, because I did it last. You can check the video out. In fact, the link is in the description here if you're interested. But I'll just give you a little bit of a summary. But Sean abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him. Some of the alleged incidents, which the indictment claimed, were carried out to fulfill his sexual desires, protecting his reputation, and conceal his conduct. It was terrible. Just to give you like 5 top things. The first one was the freak-offs. And if it sounds like a 5-year-old came up with that name, it's because probably did. Anyways, they were elaborate and produced sex performances. They would sometimes he would do these in hotel rooms or his house. It sometimes be as long as like multiple days. He would give these people drugs to keep them going. And by the end of it, because the exhaustion of how long it was, they would all like have IVs delivered. And I just and this was all done with basically coercion of women that he and on top of that, he often electronically recorded them.
Well,
Also, Homeland Security. Did you have?
I
Sorry.
thought that I saw somewhere because, of course, after watching, I went and took it. I thought there was women and men that he was doing this to.
Yeah. So the women that he coerced and basically forced to participate in these, he would
Oh, with
bring
the
in
men.
male sex
Okay.
workers, and they would have sex with the women. And he would even fly them out sometimes to where he
Okay.
was,
So
which
he wasn't
automatically
doing the
is
act
crap.
against the men.
Yes, and Lady in Grey is right. He had many people abetting him as well, and those people are just as disgusting, and that is true. He also we had an idea that his homes in Beverly Hills and Miami were raided by Homeland Security. They found various freak-off supplies, including narcotics, more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. They seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers, as well as a drum magazine. Also, Diddy was accused of arson several times throughout the indictment. There weren't further details on that, but I'm sure we will learn about that. There was in the document mention of a guy who was into his quote unquote girlfriend. I don't know if you couldn't really call him that or call her that, really. I mean, with what he was doing to her. But apparently he was pissed that he showed interest. And so he either did it or had somebody else do it. I'm sure the second one basically cut a hole in the top of the retractable top of a car and drop a Molotov cocktail in there. And then the indictment talks about the Cassie video. You may or may not have seen that. That was basically in a hotel, and it's Diddy doing completely egregious, violent things to Cassie in the hallway, in which he apparently later on tried to pay a member of the hotel security off so that we could just forget about it. And then finally, one of the biggest things, I mean, this is all big, but I'll just quote this. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other activities, sex trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. The enterprise referred to the organization's leadership, its members, and its associates. And everyone was they knew about this and did nothing. So, not fun. If you want to hear word for word what was said in what was written in the indictment, the link is in the description, and you can go check that out. It took off. It's got over 350 views already, so which is good for us. But I think it's important. I think the more that, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to bring attention to him because he doesn't deserve it. But I think the more that we put it out there, the less chance he has of battling it, because he had the balls to claim not guilty. So we'll see.
That is just beyond me. He videoed it. You left a trail, dude.
They seized over 90 phones and laptops and other electronic devices. Listen, the attorney's office, the state attorney's office, or Southern District of New York's attorney's office would not come forward with this stuff if they did not have the evidence. You just might as well make a plea deal, dude. But I don't think his ego will let him do it at all.
I don't either. I do hope they take his money and give it to those victims before
I really do too.
Spends it all on, attorneys and things like that. I hope that federal government freezes his assets and divvies it up because over 20 years, there's a lot of people
Well, yeah, and that's also what the indictment says, is anything that he has earned or gained from these these crimes, either during or after, are to be seized. And if they cannot seize them because they are sold or gone or whatever, they will take what amounts to that amount of money and take it from him. So Bells is correct. They are taking all his stuff. Also, before I forget, Amos, thank you so much for gifting 5 True Crime and Wine Time memberships. I opened up the page and it looks like as Betty Ross, Not a Drama Lamba, Angie, Amy, Amos, you gifted yourself one. Kimbers, Ohio, also. Welcome to the I don't know, welcome to the vineyard. That's what I decided to say.
Welcome to the vineyard. There's never anything wrong with the vineyard.
So that's P. Diddy, and so I think we should get into the last 2 stories that we have. You're the first one. Now I can play the video if you want me to.
Now you can.
All right, I'm gonna play it now.
Just got an awesome face paint job. What do you think?
I like turtles. Really, sometimes I don't watch the I don't watch the news.
Because we see this dude every day. I mean, every day.
I didn't make this kid pass out on my floor. People wanted to be here.
Oh, it's just like, dude, you get the best barrels ever, dude. Just
Customer out here, what's the best kind of firework to buy?
Wouldn't you like to know, Weather Boy?
Where are your parents?
Okay.
Jeez.
I have to tell you, I just saw this comment and I don't have my glasses on. I think it's Betty Ross that
Yes.
I hope if they take his plane that they don't allow it to go into circulation like they did with Epstein's, because I don't know if you heard
Yeah, I did.
Trump used a charter service to go to one of his events and he flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. Can you imagine if that happens again and he winds up flying on P. Diddy's?
So in the letter that was written by the defense attorney, you're right. I think the plane is a crime scene, for sure. I I don't know how successful it would be to look into it. However, in the letter from the defense attorney to the judge, it portrayed Sean. I refuse to call him Diddy at this point. It portrayed Sean as this selfless man who decided to come back to New York towards where they're going to arrest him. He's planning on doing all this bullshit, but it did also mention that he was in the midst of selling his plane and that it was in New Jersey for a charter and that there were 2 letters of intent possible to sell it. And I think that it's a good point that you all brought up is he's trying to get rid of it. His defense attorney's trying to get rid of it. And I really think the judge should block that and hold on to it. Truly.
Agreed.
Yep. So,
well, now we'll get into my news story, because my news story, believe it or not, you're the darker person tonight. So I'm going to read y'all the headline. Missing girl 8 found safe after driving mom's car to Target. And police said we did let her finish her Frappuccino. But this 8-year-old girl came clean and told them she did hit a mailbox at one point during her drive.
Still a better driver than most.
But they are not going to charge her with driving without a license or for stealing her parents' car.
Listen, that girl is just living her best life, and she is doing what we all might have wanted to do early on.
I know. I'm like, what? I mean, what's wrong with going get a Frappuccino?
Lam asked if it was in Ohio.
I believe it was in Ohio, because my first thought was, well, maybe she was trying to make sure her pets were safe and not going to be eaten. But no, but it was in Ohio.
Did you wait? Did you hear about where that came from though, ultimately?
No.
It came from a random Facebook post of somebody that posted when their friend's sister or their friend's friend had lost their cat and thought that they saw a family that lived next to them who happened to be Haitian take the cat. Now, 4 days now they pulled this. Number one, this is a conspiracy that was pushed by Nazis, literal Nazis in that area. But number two, there was a police report. However, 4 days later, the cat was found in the basement of the same person's house, perfectly fine. And so one of my favorite things about this is Stephen Colbert said it the other night. He said the cat's name was Miss Sassy. And so, it's not really, now both the old cat ladies and the lady cats are all against. It's just the fact that a meme, Nazis, and a police report that was no longer evident spurred this conspiracy theory that's not true, that was doubled down on, that caused bomb threats at schools, etc., is just gross, no matter what your politics are. This is a conversation above the two sides. Right. Don't do that. If we did that, you and I would be canceled and spurned and dropped off the face of this earth.
And the thing that kills me, I was telling Double H this the other day, there's a group of people that think if they see something on the internet, it must be factual. And they think these memes are real.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
And that's the scarier thing to me.
Yeah. There's no media literacy today. Yeah, none. But anyways, so she got her Frappuccino, huh?
She did get her Frappuccino. And I just want to know, and I could not find anywhere, I want to know how much grounding she got or what the parents did to punish her.
Honestly, I would literally, I would end up being like, I'm not even mad. I'm just impressed. You can drive us wherever you want now.
Oh no, they
Just
said she
invite
did
me
not.
along.
So she got caught because somebody saw, they thought it was a drunk driver because she was all over the road. She wasn't staying in her lane. And then the guy pulled up and he goes, "Oh shit, it's a kid driving." And so followed to
so it's
Target.
not a-
I was impressed that she found Target.
So it's not a testament to her driving. It's a testament to the driving of the others around her.
Correct. They defensively drove well. And then my next question is, how did she get money to pay for that Frappuccino? Did she take money out of mom's car, in the little place where you put your change?
I bet you she has the app.
Oh, the app. She's 8.
Well, she might have the app, and Guardian might load it with a certain amount for when she's with her friends. Yes, she's 8, but that's just where we live now. I would never do it. My son's 8, and the thought of him behind the wheel of my vehicle is horrifying.
Now, I can't
Also,
tell
the
you
thought of
what-
me having an 8-year-old's horrifying.
Yeah, that is horrifying. I have to tell you what one of the Bedford police guys said. He goes, "Well, I finally found a woman who's in more of a hurry to shop at Target than my wife." And then he said,
Sir, you were
oh, go ahead. He said, "Not sure what she bought or if she was even able to use her Target app to save 5%."
Buffy said she bets you get the gift card for Christmas. I imagine.
I mean,
Honestly, I'm not so worried about her punishment. I'm more worried about that guy who talked about his wife on local news as punishment, because he about to get it.
he about to get it. But I mean, as a parent, I thought about it. I'm like, what kind of punishment would I give for that? I don't know what you would do. I mean, besides a very stern talking to about why it's not good and maybe a trip to the morgue to see somebody who died in a wreck or something so they know how dangerous it is.
I could
don't know what
never
you would
keep
do.
a straight face during that conversation.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either. So that was my news story of the day.
Well, my last one's very quick, and it bounces off of my previous one. Obviously, the indictment came out, and 50 Cent, who has notably had a feud with Sean, which I would like to say finally 50 Cent has come out on top in this one. But he trolled Sean in a tweet that he sent out. It's a picture of him dressed to the nines, looking real good, right next to Drew Barrymore. And his post says, "Here I am keeping good company with Drew Barrymore, and I don't have 1,000 bottles of lube at the house." And it's just, which is funny because Sean can't read it anyways because he's in jail because his bail was denied. So,
Nice.
unless he brought a phone in his prison pocket, which honestly is
Ooh.
possible. I call that the ultimate freak off.
I was to say, I would call that the ultimate freak off.
Yeah, I guess since Combs has started having his legal issues, the feud reignited with him and 50 Cent. And 50 said that he vowed to produce a documentary about the situation called, quote, "Did He Do It?" Which I think is hysterical. Which, awesome. Also, I just want to share this. This is the face of a man who knows that he's won. That's the face of a man who knows that he has won. Truly. Just insane.
He's yes.
Just the shit-eating grin. He knows what's up. I'm telling you what, Fitty can dress. He can dress.
He'd be snazzy.
I mean, he has the money. But I think it just came out a little while ago that he's close to $1 billion in net worth. When he was I know he was having financial troubles at one point, but he's close to $1 billion, I think.
Wow.
Yep.
I can't even comprehend how much money that would be.
Right.
It's too many zeros for me.
Nope.
I would have to math.
I can't billion math, so
I can't billion math. I saw that we're about to have our
all right.
first
Well, do you want to talk
trillionaire.
about? Trillionaire? Good.
Yeah.
Throw him off a boat. Take his money. He doesn't need it. All right. So, do you want to tell us what you're drinking tonight?
I am drinking. So Double H bought me one of these for our anniversary, and I've fallen in love with it. So I bought more. Veuve du Vernet. It's a
Veuve
bubbling
de
rosé
Vernet.
because it was still 100
Ooh.
degrees in Texas today. It's still hotter
Ugh.
than Hades.
Nope.
And I'm going to just have to say, Buffy, she said, "Do you think he'll loan Pete some money?" No.
Yeah.
I am going to go on
No.
public record saying, no, not happening.
He's gonna watch
Not
him
even
drown,
50 cents
and
worth.
so will we all. And yeah, right. Not even. He won't even give him 35 cents. Nope. Not happening. My wine of choice is the same as it was the last time, just because I still have it. It's that Franzia Dark and Luscious.
Dark and luscious. I want to be dark and luscious.
All right. And that's about all I got. It's a dark red blend, and it doesn't have to be refrigerated, which means that I don't have to remember to refrigerate it. And my ADHD really appreciates that.
Okay. All I'm going to say is don't keep it for a year and still think you can drink it like you did.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
This will be done soon. It will be
Okay.
done soon. We're doing much more streaming these days.
Well,
And if anything, streaming's great for driving one to drink. That's for sure.
it is. It is. You weren't on Midday Missing Wednesday, but I had to explain to people that I'm not drinking wine when I do Midday Missing at lunchtime because somebody sent me a DM asking about me day drinking all the time because I drink sparkling water out of a plastic stemless wine glass. And I had to explain, no, I am not drinking wine on Monday and Wednesdays at noon, people. I do not need to go to rehab.
I'm just extra and like
I'm
bubbly
just
water
extra.
in a STEM class.
I just extra. Well, I have to tell you, my lady in my case, she's extra tonight.
Oh yeah.
She's
Does
extra.
does this episode contain graphic content, adult language, and might not be suitable for all listeners?
Are JT and Terry on live?
Good point. Point taken. So everybody, this episode contains graphic content, adult language, and might not be suitable for all listeners. And we're gonna go ahead and, I think, get into it.
And Terry might flip you off, but just don't take it personal. She's just showing you her cute little finger.
Right.
Right. So, guys, my case, it is a story that almost seems too surreal to believe. I did not believe it at first. I really thought it was a joke and a hoax. An 86-year-old woman has been charged in connection with a brazen bank robbery attempt in West Philadelphia. 86
Born and
years
raised,
old.
and was where I spend most of my days. Now it's stuck in everybody's heads.
But guys, her name is Emily Coakley. She's a senior citizen. Obviously, she's 86. She relies on a walker for mobility. Okay. She now faces charges of aggravated assault, robbery, and violation of the Uniform Firearm Act, terroristic threats, and other related offenses, according to authorities.
I do want to say that if I saw a cabal of 80 older women pushing towards me slowly, a walker, I would be more scared than any other terrorist. That's all I'm saying. The smell of patchouli and the possibility that I'll have to eat Werther's for the rest of my life and or wear New Balance, I'm out.
But guys, what's interesting, despite the gravity of the charges, she was released on her own recognizance. And I agree with the public, wondering.
She ain't a flight risk.
I mean, she may not be a flight risk, but shouldn't she at least spend one night in jail? I mean, she's not too old to learn a lesson and to have consequences.
Maybe it's her letter of intent. Maybe it's her letter of intent for Disney's plane. Okay, I'm sorry. Keep going.
It's funny. So it was a quiet Tuesday evening, right? And it was a typical day at the TD Bank at 38th and Market. But the quietness was shattered when Coakley entered the bank. Now she calmly approached the counter and brandished a revolver, but she did it quietly, guys.
So quiet. We have to be
And
respectful.
then she demanded $400 from tellers, believing that the bank had shorted her during a previous withdrawal.
Ma'am, you could just walk in and ask and say, hey, I think.
No, she had to bring a revolver. Okay. So,
Right,
and
mine
they
is a lot
said
darker.
what unfolded next, they said, was nothing short of astonishing. So, surrounded by police officers and pushing her walker, Coakley was escorted out of the bank in handcuffs. Could you just picture how do you push your walker if your hands are in handcuffs? I mean, did they just handcuff you to the walker?
I guess they handcuffed her in front and she was able to push. I don't know. It's a good question.
I don't know, but one customer said it was mind-blowing because they said, I've never heard of a bank robber that age and armed. And she looked just like a sweet little grandma. So, but they did say it was a tense situation because officers, I mean, she's 86 with a gun. She is still brandishing a weapon. Okay. But they said the officers who were first on the scene, they arrested her without any incident. Okay. But they did say,
That's good.
despite her advanced age, they do understand the seriousness of her actions. Right? I mean, she had a gun. What if she would have accidentally discharged it?
I don't think she's
Okay.
discharged much lately.
That
I
was
firmly regret saying that.
Yeah, no, but they said what's even more bizarre is that she only wanted the $400 she felt she had been shorted the day before. She didn't want any more. She only wanted what was rightfully hers. And so Beth says Granny's got a gun.
Granny's got a gun. Granny's got a gun.
But guys, they said she returned to that bank armed and she was ready to take matters into her own hands. Nobody was going to keep her $400. But
She had lotto tickets to buy.
she did. Now, her family, who arrived at the scene while she was being held, tried to console her because she was upset. But other bank customers were like, somebody could have gotten shot even accidentally. So you have to be concerned because people bring in their kids. I mean, I wonder if she got a lollipop.
No, you can't do a lollipop. It gets stuck on the dentures. You got to Werther's all the way, man.
So they called the FBI in because it is a bank robbery that falls under FBI purview. And they called in and they were examining the 38 caliber revolver that she brought with her. The gun was found to be unloaded, but she did have bullets in her handbag.
Jesus. Can you imagine her being like,
Hold on,
oh,
I got to
shit.
get these bullets.
She just reaches in her Mary Poppins fucking steamer bag and is just like shoulder deep in there trying to grab one.
So they said that raised the stakes of this already very unusual case. I mean, and so the money that she demanded was confiscated and taken into evidence as part of the investigation. She was led away in handcuffs, leaving behind a scene of disbelief and concern. Because I have to tell you, I've seen a lot of crazy things. I don't know what I would think if I was at the bank and I saw them taking out an 80-year-old grandma in handcuffs with her walker.
Oh God. It would have been so much better if she had the revolver in one hand. That's not better, but and mace in the other. And the first policeman that came up, she was just like, "Ah!"
Now, she was given a plea deal. Okay. She pled guilty to reduced charges of possession of an instrument of a crime and simple assault. Uh-oh.
Lady in gray said an FBI agent goes home. Honey, let me tell you about my day.
I know. That would be a good one. So, in a plea deal that took into account her health issues and the fact that the gun was not loaded, she was sentenced to 1 year of non-reporting probation. The more serious charges of robbery and theft were withdrawn, allowing her to avoid a harsher penalty. Now, the case of Emily Coakley serves, sadly, as a sobering reminder of the complexities and unexpected turns that can occur in the pursuit of justice. So, and as one bank customer said, I doubt this is going to be a repeat offense. So, this led me down a rabbit hole.
Oh no! Oh no!
Harry went down a rabbit hole because I was intrigued at the idea of an elderly person robbing a bank. So I decided to look into it. The oldest person on record to rob a bank was J.J. Red Roundtree, who was 91 years old when he robbed the first American bank in Abilene, Texas in August 2003. Okay. So they said his story, the public was interested, not just because of his age, but because it defied the typical image of a bank robber. But guys, more recently, last summer, an 83-year-old named Donald Bennett, along with his 55-year-old accomplice, Edward Bennert, embarked on a spree of bank robberies. The duo managed to evade capture for several months before finally being apprehended on Valentine's Day of this year.
How hard is it to catch a Cadillac going like 20 under? I don't understand.
I don't know. So in
All
April of this year, Ann Mayers, another senior citizen, walked into the Our Group credit union and demanded money. Shortly after the robbery, she was arrested and explained to the police that she was desperate to pay back friends and family. Ann had fallen victim to an online scam, losing $70,000 to a man she met online who she had been sending money to over time.
Not cool.
So she tried to rob the credit union because she got scammed and robbed from. So she tried to rob the bank to pay it back.
You could.
She was robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
So, but guys, this made me think about the vulnerability of some of the elderly individuals because it makes them more susceptible to scams. But also, I don't think they understand that the banking system doesn't quite work like it used to. Like a couple weeks ago, my mother-in-law gave me a check and asked me to go to the bank and deposit it for her. And I looked at her and I said, well, you can just use your phone, right? And she goes, well, how are you going to deposit a check with a phone? And then I showed her and she was like, oh, stuff's really changed, hasn't it?
You didn't know you were going to be her savior and Chris Angel at the same time.
I know.
You're just a magician.
Just a magician. Okay. Also this year, a 75-year-old man in Pensacola, Florida, attempted to rob a bank using a knife. And he was caught outside the bank doors. His attempt at thefts were thwarted before he could make his escape. So this is scary and interesting.
Well,
Are
you know what
ready?
they say about Florida. It's a lot like
Uh-huh.
California with an STD.
Guys, law enforcement have reported a noticeable increase in the number of elderly individuals being charged with bank robberies in recent years. That's scary. They said this trend raises the question, why are more elderly people turning to such drastic measures? Several factors might be contributing to this. One is financial hardships. Many elderly individuals live on fixed incomes that may not keep pace with rising cost of living, medical expenses, and debt. And sadly, faced with these, they are driven to desperate measures like bank robbery, or like Emily, she felt they owed her $400. And she didn't think if she just went in there and asked and explained it to them that they would do anything, that she wouldn't be listened to. So it's kind of scary, right? I mean, it is, right? They also say their cognitive decline can impair their judgment, leading to poor decision making. And guys, I have to tell you, I'm not in my 80s and I still make poor decisions. So can you imagine what I'm going to be like when I'm 86?
I'm going to be reading a story about you on this.
I'm like, think about it. I can't go anywhere without breaking something, falling off a ladder. I'm going to be one of those
Literally.
people, right? Literally. So they also say the influence of media and pop culture can't be discounted. Stories of elderly individuals committing crimes often capture headlines, sometimes glamorizing the act or portraying it as a rebellious last hurrah. And they think this could unintentionally inspire other senior citizens to follow suit.
There's an underground ring of elderly robbers, and they just share their wins and their fails.
Yeah. So that is my case. Like I said, I really thought it was a joke. And then to see that it's happening more and more, I am scared of what I'm going to be like when I'm 86 now. I'm scared.
I got no comment. You're either going to be limber and on a pole, or teaching somebody to be on a pole, or you're going to be robbing banks. One of the two.
Well, I figure considering, I do cover
Kidding.
true crime, I'll be helping people hide bodies maybe.
Oh, well, that'll be fun. Not there. You put it over here. No, 5 feet to the left. No, move the barn. No, dig. And it's just you sitting in a chair with lemonade.
That's right.
Being like, faster.
Lemonade. Why the hell would I be drinking lemonade? Give me wine,
I don't
please.
know. Well, you're 86. I don't know.
At 86, I should get as much wine as I want.
Oh, we'll put a main line in, just like right here.
And Amy Beth
Amy's
has
right.
it right. I will still be in pink, so it will all be good.
All good.
It will all be good.
Well,
that's my case. It wasn't dark at all. It was very unusual for me.
yeah, maybe I should have done mine first, because we're going in dark. Shall we? I think we shall.
Let's do it.
Okay, so first off, the story. I'm going to say this. The story was challenging to piece together. Most sources were in Russian. However, the story was hard to piece together for Lady in Grey, because I will say this. This is one of the first ever scripts that somebody else has researched and written for me. I have never had this happen. However, nailed it. So I
Okay.
just want to say thank you for researching and writing the script. It's a wonderful job. You all will enjoy it, if you know what I mean.
And I am going to say, Lady in Gray, it was so lovely hearing JT say, yeah, I got home and I was like, oh crap, my script. He goes, and for the first time, it was done and it was ready. I was like, JT, how does it feel to be ahead of the game? He looked
It's
like
not
a
gonna
little
last long.
kid. He looked like a little kid on Christmas morning. His little eyes were all sparkly. He was like, "I a good boy." So thank you.
Yeah,
lady.
and I mean, other than adding some bits and pieces that were just extraneous and some jokes and stuff, I mean, it's all what you wrote. So I appreciate it. My case tonight is about Tamara Samsonova. And she is also known as the Granny Ripper. She's never had any kids, but she's and on top of that, she's known as Baba Yaga, which is Slavic lore. She's a witch or a supernatural being. But yeah, so
Okay, I'm going to stop you
this
right
is
there. Are we about to talk about a granny who's a killer?
and
Oh,
more.
shit. Okay, I'm going to have to
Yep.
pour some more wine for that. I didn't think this
Hopefully
was going
I
to be
added-
a dark night.
Hopefully, I added enough jokes. But all right, so this is obviously quite the story, and it's truly a dark corner of humanity. And I hope to present it to you with just enough sarcasm to keep you from crying into your wine. It's like I knew I was, yeah. It sucks so much to drink watered down wine. We've done it in the past, but tonight we have a heck of a story for you. Just buckle up, because we're going to be diving into the life of Tamara Samsonova, also known as the Granny Ripper. And yes, if you think that sounds like a rejected character from Scooby-Doo, you're not far off. Like Scoob. She was
Scrappy too.
just your typical Russian, right? She was just your typical Russian grandmother. If your typical grandmother happens to moonlight as a cannibalistic serial killer with a love for dismemberment, the kind that makes her own borscht and might serve a side of. You get the idea.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Cannibalistic serial killer? Okay. How old is this lady?
Old enough to know better. We'll
Okay.
get there.
Okay.
So grab your knitting needles, just be careful with them, and let's unravel the twisted tale of Samsonova, the world's least likely grandma to babysit your kids. In terms of her early life, Tamara Mitrofovna. Oh, hold on. I had this the other day.
Okay. I gotta
Tamara Mitrofanovna Samsonova was born on April 25th, 1947, in the city of Uzher, which is now part of the Krasnoyarsk Krai in Siberia, Russia. My mouth didn't know what it was doing there.
Her birthday
More wine.
is the same day as my mother-in-law's.
No, it's not.
It is.
Are you serious? This is not a mail order bride you want to bring over. Just to give you an idea, Krasnoyarsk Krai is right in the middle of Siberia. It splits it in half. It occupies nearly half of the Siberian Federal District, which stretches 1,900 miles. If you say, but it's cold there, you'd be right. The average temperature in January is negative 32.8 degrees Fahrenheit in the north, and a balmy negative 0.4 degrees Fahrenheit in the south. In the summer, it's 41 to 50 in the north and 68 in the south. So, cold. Like, get frostbite on your dick cold, which a member of the royal family knows about. So,
I'll warm it up for him.
all
That's
right.
fine.
The year was 1947. And it wasn't a particularly good year for Russia, or really, the entire Soviet Union. In 1946, there had been a nationwide famine, resulting in the deaths of 150 to 300,000 people. This was caused by several things. One, World War II, resulting in massive infrastructural and agricultural damage. Two, the drought of 1946, which was the worst since 1891. Three, an overzealous Soviet government and its determination to advance economic reform. They reduced eligibility to ration cards and raised food prices at the same time. Good job. And four, to avoid looking weak, because we would never want to look weak, the Soviet government continued food exports and declined to seek international assistance. There should really be a study. I know there have been plenty of studies out there on machismo, but we need to talk about that in accordance to Russia and how that has really failed them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not been like individual, personal machismo. It's like governmental, and it's ridiculous. So, in short, it was a shit show. In addition, Winston Churchill warned of an upcoming Iron Curtain descending on Europe, and the Truman Doctrine was introduced into the world. And for those playing the home game, I didn't really know much about this, but the doctrine pledges American support for democracies against authoritarian threats and originated with the primary goal of countering the growth of the Soviet bloc during the Cold War. It also suggested that a film should be made that was a psychological comedy drama depicting the story of Truman Burbank, a man who was unaware that he was living in his entire life in a colossal soundstage. That's with Jim Carrey, and I got confused.
I know. I'm like, what?
My bad. It's okay. I messed up the delivery of it myself. So in addition to all of this, the Soviet government began to take control of even more of the industry and farmland. And, you know, in terms of Tamara's parents, there's not much that's known about them. And in one article, her father was said to be a police officer and always carried a weapon. Wink, wink, know what I mean, know what I mean. But inquiring minds do wish to know what kind of weapon. Was it a gun, a knife, a hatchet, a weasel, an old single cat lady? Don't know. Who knows? Just a weapon. I'm supposed to read these out, so I will. Terry True Crime said, I might need to switch to vodka tonight. Yes.
I just
the local
Double H.
What?
I just messaged Double H and said, I think I need a martini.
So it's happening. The local industry for the town was and is dairy. So move over Paula Dean. They're getting into butter. It is possible that Tamara even worked in the local industry prior to graduating from high school. Today, there are less than 20,000 people living in that area. But then again, who wants to live in Siberia, where the winters are like a bad relationship, where it keeps telling you it's over, but somehow it always comes back, and where the weather forecast is bring a jacket for 11 months of the year and bring a heavier jacket for the 12th. So I'm glad they're gone. All right. So after graduating high school, she entered the elite Moscow State Linguistic University. She apparently became somewhat fluent in both German and English, and this multilingual ability aided her in various jobs, and she wrote her diary in all three languages. And I tried keeping a diary in three different languages. You know, in Russian, she wrote about her feelings. In English, she wrote about her romantic adventures. And in German, she just yelled at herself the whole time. So she moved to Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, after her university graduation. There is no information about if she ever went back to her hometown, even for a visit. She held a variety of jobs. One of the earliest positions was missionary. Was reported as being in a kindergarten. Sorry, I just threw that in there. It's not even in the script. But she was reported as working in a kindergarten, which, what? She also reportedly worked at a hospital for a time, but it isn't known what her position was. And I hope they threw her in a closet like a Fraggle and she didn't have any contact with patients. Other sources say she also worked as a blacksmith for a time, which, what in the hell could that have been like? So
that sounds fun.
Yeah. I mean, it does sound like fun. Like, I immediately go to like Game of Thrones. I think that's cool. But also working in a Siberian blacksmith with Tamara Samsonova. Does not sound like a lot of fun.
Well, but
So
she likes many different positions, it sounds like, because she's had multiple.
it sounds like that. She does sound like a lot of fun. But yeah. Several years she worked for the Intours travel agency in the Grand Hotel Europe in a position of floor manager, which is probably like a concierge or someone who looks over others walking by like office space asking about TPS forms. And now I just thought about a floor manager where maybe it's like a hoedown and your sister hits the floor. So maybe she, just a maybe floor manager. I don't know. This story happens way too close to present day for me to be making all these jokes, but here we are. Several sources reported that she later also sold Western jeans and sweaters, and she obtained them from foreign visitors who stayed in the hotel. This was probably extremely lucrative during the 80s and 90s, as Western clothing, jeans in particular, were frowned upon by the Soviet authorities. So it might have been a little dangerous to do as well. So a little rebellious.
Did she steal them from the guest, or did she ask if she could have
I don't know. I wonder if she like grabbed them from guests that left them, or if she bought them cheap and then sold them expensive. I don't have that one. So but I will say this, she sold the clothing right out of her apartment, which was on the first floor of her building. Later, she stopped selling the clothing and switched to selling vodka out of her apartment. I mean, how Russian, right? How Russian. She really should have been Stalin and Putin her butt on a seat and just chilling. But here we are. I love the Russian puns. The only thing that could make selling vodka out of your apartment more Russian is if she did it in a tracksuit with a frown and handed the vodka over in a bucket of ice and snow, wrapped in a paper patterned with snow and covered with actual snow and ice, coming with a side of borscht that is actually all encased in Russian nesting dolls. I'm pretty sure I could have stopped about 10 minutes ago. I mean, listen, I don't know why I just thought about this in my brain. My brain's a weird place, but the majority of our audience is women. Can you imagine a Russian nesting dildo? I'm just saying. I'm gonna have to go back to training.
HR is going to want to see you in the morning in their office.
Probably.
That
that's not what she sold, though. I totally lost the plot.
Okay.
Lady in Gray, good timing. Trigger. So it seems she had like around 5 or 6 jobs throughout her life, but she never stayed more than 3 years at any of them. And when she retired, she had a total of 16 years work experience. She was described as a pensioner. But the question is, what kind of pension would a person have with only 16 years of experience? I don't know. I don't know.
16 years is all she worked?
Was about it?
But
the first really reliable... What?
I'm just trying to figure out how that works. I've worked more than 16 years. Why can't I retire?
This is not Mother Russia. You are going to forfeit many freedoms if you do move there. But you could have pension. Or pension have you. One of two.
Pension would have
the first really reliable information on her is from 1996, when at the age of 49, she went to a psychiatrist. We'll discuss this more in a bit, but it is believed that she had schizophrenia and had been previously hospitalized 3 times before in psychiatric hospitals. Before we discuss her crimes, though, believe it or not, we need a little background into the... we need a little background into the occult in Russia. There are so many layers of this shit. God bless you, Lady in Gray, because you are on not only a bunch of U.S. lists, you are definitely on their lists.
I say, I think the NSA is now watching every search she does on the internet. Her phone is being tapped and listened to. Yeah, she is on multiple lists. Putin has
you.
her name
All I can say
written down in
is thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for your sacrifice. I will give you the
The occult.
purple nesting dildo heart award. Okay. So the belief system heavily influenced the media coverage of her case and how the population thought of her. But, you know, the occult influences the media, which influences the population, though it seems to be a tale as old as time, right? Unofficially, the quote state religion in Russia is a Russian Orthodox brand of Christianity. But until the 10th century, the Slavic population was pagan. This changed with the Prince of Kiev, Vladimir. Hold on. Vladimir Sviatoslavich, otherwise known as Vlad the Great, not the Impaler. Very different. So don't confuse them. It's a different situation. Anyways, Vlad converted to Christianity. So because he converted to Christianity, everyone else did. Now, he converted, believe this or not, he converted to marry a military ally's daughter. Wow. But it seems, although he did that, it seems like he practiced his faith a little like Solomon by starting a support group for overworked scribes forced to keep track of his 800 wives and concubines. I mean, can you imagine the calendar invites for that family reunion? Right?
800 wives.
Who's got Thursday with Vlad? No, I have Thursday. You're Friday, remember? It just wow. Something else. Notably, despite centuries of anti-religious communism, according to a 2017 survey, 71% of Russians considered themselves to be Russian Orthodox, even if they didn't attend church. Having said that, a large majority of rural Russians still believe in the occult. And in the past, while they have attended church on Sunday, the rest of the week is pure Hogwarts, practicing spells and potions. You know, Jesus in the streets and Granger in the sheets. Or, yeah, a little bit of that. If you got that, I salute you. It is very common. Lady in Gray's like, I didn't write any of this shit. She did. not all the jokes. Listen, the shitty jokes are mine. The good ones, she put in. It's very common in Russia for the citizens to believe in the Orthodox teachings, but still hire healers for their health and other needs. All of these beliefs only fed the fiery rumor that Tamara Samsonova was a cannibalistic witch. Up to and including today, many Russians believe that any personal misfortune, including job loss, ill health, crop failure, death of livestock, death of a person, or impotence, can be attributed to witchcraft, which Peaky Blinders, Aunt Polly kind of a vibe, although also, like, I ain't seen J.D. Vance blame it on witchcraft just yet, just his couch. So, who knows? And that's the most political I'll ever get. To combat this, peasants would turn to magical practitioners, such as fortune tellers, healers, and sorcerers, to find this witchcraft for them, or to fight this witchcraft for them. As an aside, the main difference between healers and sorcerers is that sorcerers would use black magic from sources such as, like, demons, petty demons, is what was said. So all I can think of is like a demon named Nigel who hid one sock from the laundry or moved the TV remote just out of reach rather than possessing someone. It takes all kinds, I suppose. It is believed that the increased industrialization, you don't have that martini yet, and you really need it for this.
I'm like, I hear it being made.
It is believed that the increased industrialization of Russia and the government's discrediting of the Orthodox Church over the centuries has led to an increase in the belief in occult practices. Logically, to them, Jesus didn't seem to be helping, so they turned to the gods of old. Sorry, Game of Thrones fans, but it appears Russia is not Westeros. You seemingly can't have both the old gods and the new. So, Llama, you can put your dragons away for now. Yeah. Interestingly, In post-communist Russia, there was a resurgence in the belief of faith healers and witches. Even President Boris Yeltsin appeared to approve of this, as he provided state funds for bizarre projects such as trying to extract energy from stones.
No, let the stones keep their energy.
Well, I think they should have held on to the thought and then used Putin's tight old ass cheeks to squeeze it out. I think it's much more efficient.
I would agree with that.
Our show's never going to be popular in Russia. We okay. In 2010, a survey revealed there were at least 160,000 more faith healers than medical physicians in Russia. In 2013, the leading cardiologist in Russia complained that his countrymen paid over 26 million American dollars annually on magical and paranormal treatments. Now,
okay, did you say 160,000 more faith healers than doctors?
Correct. And I do want to say this. I want to say this. One, that is crazy for sure. And the amount of money that's been spent is crazy for sure. But the population of Russia, kind of high. Not China, but kind of high. So Russia's Academy of Sciences estimates that 67% of Russian women have been to a psychic or sorcerer. There it is. It'll help you. It'll help this go down. The number of men is less. Basically 1 in 4 have been to a psychic or sorcerer, but that's still a lot. Still a ton.
Now,
apparently,
have you ever been to a psychic or a sorcerer? You yourself? No. Really?
No, but I'm not in Mother Russia.
Well, I guess having family from Louisiana, I guess that, I mean, I would assume black magic is the same as a psychic or a sorcerer.
Well, voodoo.
You would have the little voodoo
That's
dolls. And then I took my ex-husband's hair and like glued it on so my grandmother and I could stick pins in it.
How did it work? Did it work for you?
Didn't have any more kids.
Oh,
And
there
I
you go.
stuck the needle in the same spot. So
Bells is right. Voodoo and sorcery, 2 different things. So yeah, I mean, you know, the Russian medical system is apparently of such a quality that a pagan sorcerer is preferred by many. But honestly, sometimes the same could be said about our system. I'm sure for some folks.
Yeah.
So having grown up in Russia, Tamara was more likely influenced. It's probably Tamara, but was most likely influenced by the occult. Her library that they found seems to indicate at least a curiosity in the dark arts, you know, like her and Voldemort. In fact, it isn't uncommon for someone to be called or known as a witch, and with their belief system, it's not always a bad adjective from either the speaker or the person being discussed. So, like, normally when somebody says a witch, it's followed by ban her, but in Russia, it's followed by what kind of deals are they running this week? A little bit different. In fairness, I wasn't watching you take a drink. So sorry.
That's okay. Because I'm like, what kind of deal is this?
I live for a spit take, so take that how you will. It seems that many journalists in this case were superstitious themselves and believed in the supernatural. Some of the articles written also seem to reflect a lower level of education too. Either that or it could possibly be a translation issue from the original Russian reporting. When Tamara's arrest became known, the Russian press went into conjecture overdrive. The press reported without any real evidence that Babushka Yaga, Slavic for supernatural being, ate her victims in order to complete dark occult rituals. Note that her diary was found in her apartment right alongside books of the occult, so that didn't help. Due to the press coverage...
Hold on. I've yet to hear that she actually ate anyone. So is it all just speculation that she was a cannibal? Or did they find chewed up femurs? Or
I mean, we're still talking occult. We will
Okay,
We'll
we're
move
gonna
to
get there.
that.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Okay. I
We'll
just
get there.
wonder because I'm like, so far
promise.
she's not sounding that bad.
True. She are you a good witch or a bad witch? Due to the press coverage, right. I just immediately agreed with that. Due to press coverage early on, the citizens of Russia were convinced that she was a witch. I mean, like, talk about poisoning the well or Apple. Snow White, Dopey, Prince Charm, again, lost the plot. Found beside the remains of one victim, to be discussed later, were torn pages of a book of spells, and this probably fed into the media reports. Apparently, Russian police can't really keep information to themselves because there were a bunch of leaks to the press, which occurred prior to official statements. The discovery of the book merely fed into the Russian belief in the power of the occult, and there were many speculative articles written by the press that ramped up this belief before authorities finally addressed the issue. In the age of clicks and money, because this was in the age of clicks and money, this wasn't like in the 1800s or the early 1900s. This was like in 2015. There were many speculative articles written by the press that ramped up this belief before authorities finally addressed the issue. I already said that. But anyways, the public read multiple articles about her, and many of the stories emphasized the witch-like methods of killing using poison and then boiling of the body parts, etc. And this is where her Baba Yaga nickname came from. A lot of the information in these articles, though, isn't supported by fact. I mean, ain't that just the way, right? I read an article that said coffee cures everything, and then I read another one that said it cures cancer. So now I drink it while worrying I'm immortal and doomed at the same time. Why? Because I'm no quitter. Now, back to the crimes of Granny Ripper. Dad jokes. So we're going to talk next about her relationship with Alexei Samsonova, which is a presumed victim of hers. After moving to St. Petersburg, about 200 miles from her hometown, Tamara married Alexei Samsonova. In 1971, Tamara and Alexei moved into a newly built panel house, number 4 on Dmitrov Street. It may have been new, but it was still a small 2-bedroom drab housing unit. Alexei worked in a car repair plant. In interviews with the authorities, Tamara told them her relationship with Alexei had been good and that she had to take care of him. She was the mother while he was the son, which is very Norman Bates, except, the mother's the psychopathic killer. I mean, usually it's mommy issues and not the other way around. However, neighbors, neighbors interviewed said their relationship was much more like an abusive kidnapper and a scared hostage. So Tamara was obviously the kidnapper, which I do have to say it's not a role play that I'd recommend, but I don't kink shame, so do what you do. Russian nesting dildos. They also reported that. Right. My safe word is yes, please. They also reported that she would refuse Alexei into the house when she was angry with him, and he would sit on a bench in a nearby park. And if she was really angry with him and it turned to night, he would have to sleep on the bench all night. And he was described as neighbors as, and I quote, pitiful, thin, red-haired, and toothless with a rag bag. And all I have to ask is, why the hell are people always throwing shade at gingers? I mean, other than the fact that they don't do well in the sunlight. So maybe it's a favor. I don't know.
So basically, she sent him to the doghouse. Just the doghouse happened to be a bench instead of a couch in the house. What's wrong with that?
In St. Petersburg. Yes.
What's wrong with that?
It's probably cold. I don't know.
Okay with
Back to 1996. Listen, you might as well just build a doghouse in the back. Back to 1996, and the psychiatrist mentioned before, authorities interviewed the doctor in an attempt to understand her mental state at the time. The psychiatrist reported that she seemed, quote, bright, lovely, and erudite, while her husband appeared, quote, poor, downtrodden, and moronic. What a fucking terrible doctor. The doctor also considered Tamara to be, quote, capricious, wayward, and absurd. Apparently, Russia only issues characteristics in threes. I don't know.
Like they're
Father,
nesting
Son, and
dolls.
Holy Putin. Right. Like nesting dolls. She told, yeah, it's like nesting dolls, but the last characteristic is always a slap to the face. That's not how that works. So she told the psychiatrist that she often shoplifted for no reason. In time, the relationship with Tamara and the psychiatrist actually shifted from being strictly professional to talking on the telephone. Once, the doctor even went to her apartment to, as he claimed, quote, fetch a book.
Mhm.
Okay, bitch, cliche as hell. From do you want to come upstairs and see my etchings to fetching a book to Netflix and chill. We know what you were doing. Sorry, I went drag
They were
race.
going to do some.
In
They were going to do some.
the library was open. Yes. some freak offs or whatever the fuck they're called. In 2000, Alexei disappeared. Tamara appealed to the police, but searches resulted in no evidence of what happened to Alexei. 15 years later, in April of 2015, she turned to police again, this time to investigate, this time to the investigative unit of the Fruzensky district in St. Petersburg, where she gave a statement about her husband's disappearance so many years prior. Lady in Grey said, don't tempt Tamara with a good time, because she probably gonna ruin it. Oh, God. Tamara told neighbors that he had left her to chase after other women, which, by descriptions of him, seemed like it would have been a pretty short-lived chase. Like the old woman robbing the bank. That's all I'm saying. She also told some that he died of cirrhosis of the liver, or that he went to the savings and loan but never returned. It appears that no one, other than Tamara, with her insincere appeal to the police, really looked for Alexei, and even then, no one seemed to care. There have been no discoveries of Alexei nor his body. It is not thought that she killed him and got rid of the body. It is. It's now thought that she killed him and got rid of the body somewhere, somehow. Moving to Sergei Potanin and Valentina Nikolaevna Ulanova. These are known crimes.
Don't hurt yourself.
I didn't realize I was going to have to stretch tonight. I think I pulled something in my lower back saying that. After Alexei's disappearance, Tamara began to rent out a room in her apartment. Sergei Potanin, 44, from Norilsk, was one such unfortunate tenant. Investigators say that on September 6, 2003, Tamara and her tenant quarreled, and it ended in murder. Dun, dun, dun. She poisoned him, and then she dismembered his corpse and disposed of the pieces in the streets. So that's fun, huh? It's thought that he was still alive when she began the, quote, surgery, which is really a nice way of saying she kind of went full Dahmer. Don't ever go full Dahmer. Not cool.
He was still alive. When she's...
That's what they said. And honestly, if they found bits and pieces, of him, 100% they probably could tell. Because it would have continued bleeding with the cut if he was still alive, right? So this fella had several tattoos that made his identification pretty easy. Pages from an esoteric book, most likely cult or spells, were left with the body, which caused the police to suspect a black magic serial killer had done the deed. Tamara wrote of the tattoos in her diary, probably in all 3 languages. So, Captain said, she's the landlord. Of course she's evil. Yes, Tamara, H.H. Holmes, you know. Yours previously. In March of 2015, Tamara met 79-year-old Valentina Nikolaevna Ulanova, who lived at 10 Dimitrov Street. A mutual friend asked Valentina to shelter Tamara for a time due to the current renovations of Tamara's apartment. Valentina agreed. And from the moment Tamara moved in, Valentina knew she done fucked up. Valentina was described by neighbors as intelligent, friendly, very giving. She was also willing to help others, and she was even known to buy vodka for the transients in the neighborhood. And I'd call that seriously neighborly, especially in Russia.
That's very sweet.
Tamara lived with Valentina for several months, helping with the housework and becoming an all-around caregiver to Valentina. She liked living in the apartment, refused to move out, and the relationship between the two began to deteriorate, and Valentina decided to ask Tamara to move out. Now, a final conflict happened between the two. This one supposedly about unwashed cups, because of course it fucking was. Tamara decided to poison, because of course she did. She traveled to Pushkin and managed to persuade a pharmacist to sell her a prescription drug, phenazepam. This was developed in Russia in 1978, and it's prescribed for neurological conditions like epilepsy, anxiety, alcohol withdrawal syndrome, and sleep disorders. So when she returned home, she bought on the way, she bought one of Valentina's favorite dishes, an Olivier salad. Do you know what an Olivier salad is?
A salad?
Perfect. I didn't either. What is this? Well, in the Guide to Fundamentals of Culinary Arts, published by P. Alexandrova in 1897, was a recipe including grouse, crayfish, potatoes, cucumber, lettuce, aspic, capers, olives, and mayonnaise. Oh, and powdered phenazepam, apparently. How much? Enough. So, she put the pills in the salad. You right. It basically is potato salad, but with all that other stuff in it, like
What is
crayfish
a
and stuff.
grouse or gross or something? What is that?
A grouse? It's just a small bird. It's like people go grouse hunting.
You put a bird in the potato salad? With
The meat of the bird, not the whole bird.
Like,
Yes. It's just a bird stood up and you just slather this stuff on top of the bird.
Oh,
I love you so much. You have no idea. So she put the pills in the salad, and the date was July 23rd, 2015.
my birthday.
Tamara later found Valentina's body lying on the kitchen floor. Because, of course, using 2 knives and a saw, she proceeded to dismember the body. She had borrowed the saw from a neighbor, which, what the fuck was that conversation like? Like, hey, do you have a saw? What for? For decaffeinating a body or body of coffee. That's pretty much how I see that going. First, we're about to get a little dark here. First, by a little, I mean a lot. First, she sawed off Valentina's head. Then she sawed the body in half, and using the knives, she cut it into pieces. It took her several trips of going outside the apartment and then returning inside to take out all of the bags. She also left pieces of Valentina's body scattered throughout the house, and it's suggested by authorities that Valentina, again, was still alive when she began the dismemberment. Which a pattern seems to have developed here, my dear Watson. Grab my notebook and my violin.
That is messy and horrific.
The amount of drive that I know that this is really dark and really tough to talk about, but the reality is the amount of motivation and drive and strength you have to do what she did is insane. And you know that saw wasn't sharp. You know those knives weren't that sharp. It certainly wasn't a bone saw. So, wow.
I hope Valentina had like osteoporosis, so her bones broke real easy or something. I don't know, because that just sounds
I don't know.
horrific.
July 26th, Valentina's decapitated body with severed limbs was found. It was wrapped in a shower curtain found near a pond at number 10 on Dimitrov Street, so not that far away. This wasn't really noticed until several days after, until a resident took an interest. Like, oh, there's a shower curtain. Let's go see what the... Oh! That's pretty much how I see that going.
Well, because of
Valentina's
how cold it
identity...
was, I bet it didn't smell.
Well, in
Is it so
July...
cold?
Yeah.
Well, it only got
St.
up to like
Petersburg. I don't know what
40.
St. Petersburg...
I would think it wouldn't
Well, that was in
smell.
Siberia. She's in St. Petersburg by now.
Oh.
I really don't know what the temperature would be in July in St. Petersburg,
So it probably had a little
so
bit
I
of
don't feel
smell.
confident in telling you. Yeah. But I mean, it also was put near a pond, so it's very possible that pond smell, everything else.
Yeah.
Valentina's identity was confirmed on July 27th after a survey of apartment residents. When authorities knocked on Valentina's door, Tamara answered. Once inside the apartment, the police officers found traces of blood in the bathroom and remnants of the torn shower curtain on the fasteners. And Tamara tried the old, well, that blood isn't mine, which not the best thing to do to say as an excuse in this case. Tamara was immediately arrested. Yes, the neighborhood was basically kind of like a slum-esque type neighborhood.
I want to know
Correct.
how
Well, of course, you wrote it.
they only found traces of blood. My vision, there was blood everywhere if the person was still
Well,
alive.
what I'm thinking is, and it wouldn't have been enough, but it could have been enough to at least protect. My thought is she ripped the shower curtain off, put it under, and did the work.
That makes
wrapped
sense.
up. But Lady in Gray's correct. It's the "it wasn't me" Shaggy defense. So Tamara was immediately arrested. Later, the authorities found CCTV camera video from near the home that showed her removing the body parts in black plastic bags and back and forth and fun times. All right, so in terms of a couple of alleged crimes, presumed victims on top of the two that we've talked about are Alexei Samsonova, like I said, the husband, and Volodya, which is number one, I'm pretty sure a name of a main character in Crime and Punishment, also Russian, but also a former tenant mentioned in her diary. Authorities suspect that there are actually at least 10 other victims beside her known and alleged crimes. But they haven't charged her since no bodies have been found, and they probably never will be, especially at this point. Now, there were definitely some weird bits and pieces about this woman, which is probably understating it. She would rent rooms, but then she'd complain to neighbors that her tenants would use her bathroom and kitchen. She complained that they were dirty people. And by the way, this was Tamara who left the dirty cups in Valentina's sink that spurred the final argument between the landlord and the tenant. She was the one that put the dirty. It wasn't the other way around. So something about that's really not surprising at all.
So did she rent out the bedroom and didn't think they were going to use the bathroom and the kitchen?
I don't know. You asked the question about how did she clean up and stuff. A Lady in Grey answered this. It took several days to identify Valentina, so she probably had time to clean.
Well, I didn't think she was very clean because she didn't even clean her cup.
That's fair. But, I mean, self-preservation is much more of a drive than a clean cup. So, Tamara Samsonova kept a detailed diary written in Russian, English, and German alongside black magic and astrology books like we mentioned. In her diary, between accounts of her killings, are written mundane details of her everyday existence. Entries included such phrases as, quote, slept badly, or drank coffee, take medicine, or I do not eat. It obviously sounds like a hell of a lot like what my diary would say, minus the whole killing thing. A neighbor later said that it was as if Tamara was concerned that she would be forgotten, or no one would know that she even existed. But what she should have been worried about is that no one would want to remember her. And she definitely made certain of that. For sure. One excerpt from her diary has a chilling confession of her murdering a former tenant. Quote, I killed my tenant Volodya, cut him into pieces in the bathroom with a knife, put the pieces of his body in plastic bags, and threw them away in different parts of the Frozinsky district. Now, this is apparently a different tenant than the known victim, Sergei, but hook, line, and sinker, last nail in the coffin, kind of buried the lead. Ta-da! So on top of that, she also was a super fan of Russia's most famous serial killer, Andrei Chikatilo. She had a collection of books and articles written about this killer, who was convicted of killing 52 men, women, and children between 1978 and 1990. She was a huge fan. And on top of that, she wrote in her diary about researching various medications as well as picking up medications for neighbors. And having been treated for schizophrenia, she was also versed in benzos and other depressants. Marina and her husband moved in next door shortly after Alexei disappeared. Alexei was her beau,
yeah.
if you could call him that.
Her boo.
Tamara told Marina that her husband left one day and had not come back. Marina told authorities that Tamara had joy in her eyes when she said it. Marina also reported that Tamara would sit... I literally forgot about this part. Marina told authorities that Tamara would sit topless in front of her window. Marina didn't like this, apparently, as her husband would like to peep at the topless woman in the window. But still, Marina didn't report any problems with Tamara. She heard no screams or weird sounds coming from the apartment. Marina also reported that Tamara would only answer the door when she used a special pre-planned secret knock, which paranoia anybody? Another neighbor reported that Tamara didn't have either a sofa or refrigerator in her apartment. I guess. Nan said, a booby sighting. And it was cold in Russia, so it was a blue booby, if you know what I mean. All right. In 2001, just very excited all the time. In 2001, a man named Vladimir rented a room from Tamara, and a physical relationship soon began. No, don't. Bad idea. No. She was almost 20 years his senior. In December of 2001, Vladimir was admitted to the hospital because of poisoning. The doctors couldn't tell him the source of the poison, but apparently Vladimir had thoughts about this because after he was released from the hospital, he immediately got his shit and got the fuck out of Dodge or Siberia or St. Petersburg or wherever. In 2004, Tamara and her younger boyfriend met Alexander and his wife, and Tamara struck up a friendship with the couple, calling them often. Soon, Alexander was answering the phone more often than his wife when Tamara called. Soon thereafter, her younger boyfriend later disappeared, leaving no trace. A year later, Alexander left his wife and moved in with Tamara. No, don't. No.
No, let him.
It is at this point. Right. He left his wife, moved in with Tamara. Yeah. It's at this point that I would like to say I am convinced she is a witch casting spells on all these men. Have you seen her picture? Maybe they are just more... Maybe the guys are ragbags, or maybe it was the Western style jeans. More than likely, though, I think it was the vodka.
Do you have a picture of her?
He quickly regretted... hold on.
I can go look for one if I need to, because I need to know.
No. It's totally okay. I can find one.
I just want to know. I mean, she couldn't have been that unattractive. Well, she's not pretty, but...
Hold on. Let me see if I can find one of her young.
Yeah. I mean, she's not atrocious, I guess is the word I'm trying to say.
She is, one second. She is on the right in this photo.
Okay.
So no, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, she's pretty.
She's not unattractive. Now I understand why she was able to get these men who are 20 years younger.
Right. I mean, Melania for the win. He quickly regretted his decision moving into Tamara, with Tamara, and began to call his wife several times a day. And pretty soon after he moved in, he disappeared. Poof. Later, Tamara confessed to killing him, but then she recanted, saying that it was, quote, illegal to joke like that. What? All
In
I'm
Russia,
saying
it
is when
probably is.
when criminals take the high road, usually they're lying. Neighbors reportedly began to care less for her as she got older. She would walk around her apartment naked with the curtain open. So you saw the older picture of her. Just keep that in mind. She would walk around her, which is fine. Listen, you do what you want. I'm not judging. To each their own. Just because you're older doesn't mean you can't walk around your place nude. But maybe close the window.
I know, because there's children.
or
There's innocent people walking by.
Right. Or she would walk around barefoot outside in the winter, which is or she was increasingly argumentative with them as well. So at one point, her neighbors got together and wrote Lady in Gray says it right. She lived on street level. So she wasn't like on the 4th floor, just flashing people across from her on the 4th floor. She was on street level.
Yeah.
You know what, though? You know what? You go, girl. You go.
I mean, if you're that comfortable in your body, go for it.
Serious. I mean, honestly, I'm not even at 30, whatever age I am, 36, I guess I am now. I forgot the other day. I'm not even that comfortable.
Children,
so,
or the innocent people walking by that don't need to see all that.
Yeah, right. Nan said you really shouldn't be naked when old in front of gold curtains. I know. Nan, I love you so very much. And Bells, you are correct. It is amazing what old people can do. At one point, her neighbors actually got together and wrote a note to a psychiatric hospital saying that Tamara needed treatment. She was committed for treatment for a few months, but then returned back to the apartment because she probably manipulated her way out of it. And that's conjecture on my part, but that's my guess, is that she's good at that. Yeah, right. I feel like that was her argument, Amy. People shouldn't be looking in my window. Don't look in my window. That window is not for you. That's for me to look out, not you to look in. I don't know why she sounds like a stereotypical from Anastasia, the cartoon man, but that's what she said. That's literally my point of reference here. It's like I'd give her a ha in the hi-ya and I'd kick her, sir. That's my point of reference here. The Russian Investigative Committee, equivalent to the United States FBI, reported that internal organs were removed from the victim's body, and it's noted that she seemed to have had a particular penchant for lungs. The information was taken from her diaries, where she wrote that she had not only dismembered, but had removed internal organs as well. And there seemed to be some disagreement if this was just the ramblings of an insane person, or if she really did commit these particular acts, regardless of the Russian Investigative Committee's statements. The authorities do not have any proof that she committed cannibalism, despite police source merely saying cannibalism is not excluded. So
instead of
and honestly, at this point,
instead of liver and onions, is it lungs and onions?
Yes. We call them onions to open up the breathing. They help you. They build the breathing, the lungs. They go straight to the lungs, especially if you inhale. You inhale, and it's so good you inhale. I have no idea what I'm talking about anymore. So the director of a ministry. Kelly said, sounds like a typical relationship. Oh, Kelly. Oh, I'm worried about you.
I know. Call BetterHelp.
BetterHelp. We're not sponsored by them yet, but you might want to go better. I'm dead. You guys are so funny. The director of the Ministry of Internal Affairs volunteered to sit with her and talk with her. He independently began to study the occult so he could better converse with her. He spent so much time with her that his colleagues began to worry he was spending too much time with her and too much time researching the occult. He did, however, manage to get her to unofficially admit to 11 murders. So he knew what he was doing. But also, I really think that this woman was extremely charismatic. And I think that she was able to bring people in and then flip real fast. Like she would find one thing and that would be her excuse to make it right for what she did, right?
She used her
Nan
womanly
asked. Yes. Nan asked unofficially, and I think what that means, Nan, is that the conversation that the director had with her was not recorded. It was not official in terms of a confession. So unofficially 11.
Okay, that is
so in
not
terms
how
of
I took
male.
that.
Oh,
I
what
took
did you?
that
How did you?
That it was pillow talk, and she confessed to 11 after they hung out together because they were spending time together, like
Yeah.
pillow talk.
She was already arrested. She was in jail. He was talking to her. She was yeah.
It happens
But
in
maybe
jail.
who knows? Some people really dig those cold steel tables. I don't know. And she said, "This reminds me of my kitchen. I like." So it seems odd that Tamara began with her nefarious activity. She began this activity at the age of 53. Although most female serial killers do start killing later in life as opposed to men. The average age for men is 27, women's 31. Another difference between men and women is that women seem to act more in secret and kill those close to them, while men are more open with their killings and usually target strangers that cannot be traced to them. They also have a tendency towards quieter methods, such as poison and smothering. Women killers likely don't have a criminal record, while men do. And in addition, on the average, men kill over a shorter period of time, about 2 to 3 years, while women kill over a longer period of time, 10 plus years. So, very patient. Nice. Yes, Tamara does have skills with a Z. Of course, there are those that don't fall into the average category because, we're not talking about Yogi Bear here. In court appearances, Tamara seemed more concerned about what journalists were there to report. In court appearances, Tamara seemed more concerned about what journalists were there to report in terms of her case rather than the grave charges that were placed against her. She complained that her neighbors in St. Petersburg were going to find out what she was accused of. After being taken into custody by the court, she told journalists, quote, "I knew you would come. It's such a disgrace for me. All this city will know." Terry, I am 54, so it's not too late for me. Nope. Listen, and Nan said, watch out for us ladies. You just have to believe in yourself and have the motivation, drive, and angst. That is not official advice. FYI. Just saying. On July 29th, 2015, Tamara was brought to the Frunz District Court of St. Petersburg. She was 68 when she was arrested. At one point in the proceedings, Tamara said that she had been traumatized by a doctor who lived in an apartment a few floors above her, and that he raped her and threatened to kill her. Now, if that happened, that sucks. And that should have never happened. And that doctor can go to hell. I will say this. There was no proof of that accusation. Although I don't know how there would be proof in Russia with, I don't know. So it's very possible. Not to bring this down a lot, but a forensic psychiatric examination was conducted, and on November 26, 2015, the report showed that she was a danger to society and herself. She told the judge that she was guilty and that a burden was lifted from her when her crimes were discovered. In December of 2015, Tamara was sent for compulsory psychiatric treatment at specialized hospital, and until the end of the investigation of a total of 14 murders. When the judge sentenced her, Tamara clapped her hands with joy, and the judge said, "You can never be released." And that is the end of the story of the Granny Ripper.
She clapped her hands with joy.
She, there is something to be said about people who have a compulsive need to kill. It just seems like when they get caught, like you've seen this many times, it's a trope, right? In like criminal procedural TV shows. They get caught and they fall asleep in the interrogation room, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's been taken off of them and they can finally, and I feel like that's exactly what happened here. And
Well,
I don't know a lot about her early life. So,
and she suffered for some mental illness. So she definitely had hearing voices, whether it was occult related, whatever. Still wasn't excuses, but with her clapping her hands makes me wonder, was she just thinking that she would be in close proximity and it'd be easier to kill? Or was she truly, there it is, the stability, or was she truly happy that she would be locked up and she couldn't do it again?
yeah, I mean, I don't know. And I don't know if she'd ever tell us, to be honest. That's true. Lady in Grey said this. We know nothing of her childhood, but she definitely had a mental illness of some sort.
Yeah.
And we all know in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, it was shitty in the US. So mental health was it's shitty now, but it was shitty in Russia. Oh, she's in a mental institution, not a prison. Thank you for clearing that one up. So maybe she's where she needs to be. There are very few criminals where I'm just like, and maybe it's because it happened in Russia and not the United States. So I'm a little more loose about this, but it really truly feels like she should be there and not in a prison.
Agreed.
I don't feel like she could benefit at all. But Lady in Grey, the script you put together is amazing. She went through 21 different sources to find this stuff. And I am just like super enthusiastic about how she arranged this and worded it. And I know there's probably some parts where you're just like, I didn't write that shit. And you didn't. I just added some jokes. But overall, you did a wonderful job. And seriously, all credit to you for that. I will always give credit when people write stuff for me, I promise, because I know it's not easy, having done it for 5 years. So
I don't like me. You can write one for me if you want. Me. That was good.
Yeah, she did a wonderful, wonderful job. And yes, that is definitely a case that is very interesting. When I just randomly picked an old woman who was a murderer, I didn't know what you were getting into, so I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
but also fun.
I will say,
yes,
I am
after the
pleasantly
election
surprised to hear that they have mental hospitals in Russia. I don't know why. I just assumed they wouldn't, and they would just send everybody to prison.
I think we
pleasantly
do.
Surprised.
I think, and they call them psychushkas. Actually, I might actually read this. I just found I'll put this in the chat. But it's an article on the history of territorial psychiatric hospitals in Russia. So the only reason I immediately publish it is because it was published in it's hosted by the National Library of Medicine. So I trust it. So wow, just a lot. Just an awesome story. Truly. Lady in Grey, thank you for doing that. I don't know how I would have gotten that done. So I appreciate you greatly. You have no idea. So that's my case, and it's dark, but also kind of. Hopefully, I was able to add a little heavenly light on top of it.
You
It's
did.
just
I
so out
laughed
there.
several times. It's out there. The occult and a granny ripper, cannibalism. I mean, it truly had little pieces of everything.
Yes, for sure. And just I think that culture is so foreign to me, and that's duh, it's foreign to me, but it's just so different. You know, and I think it's worthy of looking at and experiencing, you know, once we're not on the verge of
Wait a
World War
minute.
III with them. But
When I'm in Helsinki at the train station, they have one train that goes every day to Russia. Because when we were there in
Still?
February, they told me, yes, they were like, Terry, whatever you do not get on that train and do not think you should go there and visit. But maybe I should go experience Russia.
No,
Maybe not
ma'am.
right
No,
now.
ma'am.
Maybe not right
Do
now.
not. I will never see you again. Please don't. Please don't.
What do you mean you would never see
There
me
is-
again? You would go and petition our U.S. government to get cute little me back?
Correct. I would. But I will say this. There is a reason why they want to invade Ukraine, and they have failed so far. But they want to take that, and I'm of the firm belief that that is the beginning, because Poland would be next. And then they'd move on. They'd move west. So
But it's called the pink line. It is called the pink line.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and that's because when you get taken open, that's all that's shown is pink. It's just, don't do it. I know that you are very adventurous. You will go to drug dealers' houses. Don't go to this one because this one has AK-47s.
Double H, can I go to Russia while I'm in Finland? He said no. Y'all are just not any
I'm
fun.
hoping. I hope he said hell no.
No, he just said no. He just said no.
Oh, well, there was no hell in front of it, so you're good. You're clear.
I'm good. I'm clear. I can do it.
I don't think your passport's gonna work.
Probably not.
I
will tell you
now's
this.
not a great time.
My biggest fear would be that Putin would decide that I would be the person, because I couldn't keep my mouth shut. I wouldn't let him get away with talking to me a certain way. I think he would use me as an example. You know?
Yeah.
And he would tag True Crime and Wine Time as, they're beating me and stuff.
I could see you being on Russian TV as an example, being like, True Crime and Wine Time on YouTube, check me out. It'd be like the last thing you say. Kelly's right. Just Google what you want to see in Russia.
I know, but it is so sad because there is such beautiful architecture and some building. I mean, I hear
That's true.
Russia has
That's
so
true.
many beautiful things that if it was a non-dictator place, that I would love to visit.
Here's what I say to that. Russia has a wild and wonderful history to study.
Mhm.
Let it have another decade of history to study, and then maybe. Give it another decade. I remember living in Okinawa, Japan, and my family had planned a trip to go to China. And we were going to Beijing and Hong Kong. And the first stop was Beijing. And like 3 or 4 days before we went, that was the same time in which China would not give us back the airplane that fell into China's territory.
Oh,
And I don't know if you remember this. I don't know if you
do.
remember this, but
I do.
yeah. So we still went, but you can bet 100%. And my dad's Papa Bruce Crime, always security conscious, and rightfully so. He knows a lot about different things. But I mean, there was a Kleenex in the eye hole of the door, the telephone. I mean, we were very careful about what we said. Hong Kong was a little different, but Beijing, very careful about what we said. And that was just a plane. Now we're talking about some bigger stuff for Russia. So
Yeah.
I know you
that's-
were just kidding, but don't
No,
go.
I would love to go because I also
Oh, me
like
too.
to do what I'm told not to do. Excites me to do what I'm told.
I
not
know.
to do.
Oh, I know. Oh, Amy Beth said her stepson's now stationed in Japan. What part of Japan? I loved Japan. I would
You
love to
left
go back.
Japan.
Oh my gosh, the culture's fantastic. Tokyo is beautiful. I mean, it's like New York City, just with the lights and the neon and oh my god, just some of the
It's on my
best,
bucket list.
some of the best 3 years of my life.
Well, thank you
But
and Lady Grey for that very dark Granny Ripper case. My sweet little old lady
I
just wanted her $400 back. She didn't kill nobody. She didn't eat nobody. She didn't even put a bullets in her gun.
it's true. She had bullets around her pill case.
Kelly would be absolutely correct in her statement. Now we know why Double H probably doesn't say no much. Because if he says no, he knows I'm going to go and do it. It's better to just say yes, and then I probably won't do it. Because what fun is there in that?
Or we'll see, which is really funny that it's better to say yes or we'll see, because that's exactly how I do things with my kids.
See?
I
Yeah.
love you so much. You have no idea. My love for you is like diarrhea. I just can't hold it in. So,
Okay. I'm not sure how I feel about your love for me being compared to diarrhea. I'm going to have to
I
think
stole
on
that
that
from
one.
Weird Al.
Oh, it's a Weird Al Yankovic thing? Okay, that makes me feel a little better. Makes me feel a little better. Well, I am going to tell you this. The next time you pick a dark case like this, could you give me forewarning so I can have alcohol prepared for this? Because I am so good about not researching your cases. I don't want to know anything about them. But you could just give me a warning. Dark. Because I'm the dark girl.
It's fair. We don't usually preview our shows. Like the next one, but what is
did
the
send
next
you
one?
a private message.
You did. Okay, let me
I
check.
did.
Oh, I see. Yep, sure can. In 2 weeks though, we're doing Mafia.
I will not be there for Mafia. You will have a special co-host because I believe I'm either in Finland or France that day. I don't remember which, but I am so not going to be thinking about the podcast. I'm going to be drinking wine.
No, really good point. Kelly will answer your question in a second. Yes. So in 2 weeks, on TCWT Live, it will be me and Cam from our True Crime podcast, which I've known them for quite some time. They're a really big show, and they just took a group of fans and themselves to like Scotland and England and stuff. So a lot of fun. But she is hysterical. She's wonderful. We're going to be doing mafia crimes, so get ready for that. We'll tease something in a second here, but Kelly asked, can we get a chase update? I don't know if there's anything
Kelly,
you can offer there.
There is. I actually just spoke with Chase's dad yesterday. I am working on an update. I'm waiting for the investigator to confirm a couple of things. I am going to try to do an update before I leave the country next week. And I told him if I can't get it done before I leave, then I will do it right when I get back. I just want to confirm some things. What I can tell you is that Matt Brewer is definitely more involved than we thought he was. And we have someone within a family member contact giving us some information. And we're just wanting to verify some of that information before we share it. So we have some big updates coming. And I just want to keep us from getting sued or for somebody in Matt's family coming after me because he is connected to some really bad people.
Right.
So
Correct. So that's big. That's coming. October 1st, there are some massive things coming. Terry and I with this baby, you started this in 2019.
5 years ago.
Yes. 5 years ago. I hopped on around 2021? 2020? What was it? I don't know. I don't even remember.
I think it was 2020. Because you guessed it. You did a guest spot with me where Granny Bear showed up. And then we did Justice League, and then we decided to join together.
Yes. And she's regretted it ever since. No, I'm kidding.
I have not regretted it. The only time I came close to regretting it was in Denver when we were live streaming and that thing hit me. That was the only time I was like, what the hell was I thinking? Taking candy from JT.
So,
and now they're one of my favorites.
Big things. Big things coming October 1st. And that is, I will say this. Although this kind of started in our headspaces, this is the what happens October 1st is the result of a lot of folks and a lot of hours of work, and a lot of hours of talent. And Terry and I could not be more grateful. And so we are very, very excited about that. And also, Night Court's coming back on Sundays.
Yes.
Yay. And at least one, possibly two, big interviews are coming too. And I'll leave it at that. So there is a lot that is happening in October. And we would love for you, shameless ask, to like, subscribe,
absolutely,
share with everybody.
Especially
truly, and
with one of our interviews that's coming up, it's gonna be big, and you're gonna want to be able to brag to your friends and say, see, I told you you should like them, because you're going to be pretty blown away with what we got.
Yeah.
Or I think you will be.
I don't think I don't think, other than for news stories and some other stuff, I don't think this person has done very many like podcasty, YouTubey interviews. So I'll have to look to be sure about that, but yeah. So get ready. It's a big deal to us, and I think to you guys too. And you know, thanks to producer Tara for working on that for us. So credit where credit's due.
I was saving this because I haven't even told JT or Tara, but had a conversation today and finalizing our first in-person live show to be in Austin. So we're trying to shoot for February or March. He and I are talking again next week.
Woo!
So
live shows.
Also in October, I am going to be doing a joint thing with Texas Wine and Crime. I'm actually driving to Dallas and doing a show with Brandy there. So she has been amazing with helping, because they do a lot of live in-person shows. So she has been great in helping me. So the goal is we're going to try to do 3 or 4 live in-person shows next year.
That is the goal. And the goal is to make them in different places.
Yes, in different
places. That maybe there's a possibility of seeing you all. And Brandy from Texas Wine and Crime.
Yep. Texas Wine and Crime. Yes.
Just confirming. Just clarifying.
Yes.
So yes.
I will say, if anybody knows of a winery in their area or a venue
Mhm.
that you think would be interested in hosting
Yep.
and sponsoring us to do this in person, email us, drop us a message on Discord, any of our socials. We will add it to the list. We have an entire sheet of
Yep.
places that we are pitching this idea to, because the more of our original community that we can see would make us the happiest.
Right. Shoot. Hey, look, there you go. Sorry, Tara. If you got a
That's okay.
place, email us.
Yep. Did you see?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how I'm supposed to get to sleep with this news, to be honest with you. Because I didn't know either.
It only happened like an hour and a half before, and I wasn't going to say anything. And I decided, you know what? Granny Ripper, I needed to share something positive because I'm really
Wine and
excited.
wine and martinis. We'll tell you
Yes.
everything.
Tell you anything you want to know. So it will
Now
be great.
you know.
And then we
Awesome.
also are working on merch to drop some merch stuff soon.
Yes.
So there's a lot going
Yes.
on.
Lots. So we're excited. So I will say this. I will hit the snooze button on everything now. Thank you so much for everything that you all have done and continue to do. Both mods, writers, researchers, Lady and Gray, I'm looking at you. Llama, Tara, thank you. Terry, you're amazing. Thank you. And take care of yourselves, your friends, your family, your community. Don't let anybody ever dull that sparkle, and shine on, you crazy diamonds, shine on.
And as always, I want you to stay safe, watch out for crime, and sometimes skip the wine and go straight for the dirty martini, because sometimes life needs a martini. Screw the wine. What I got for you guys.
We'll see.
See you all on Monday.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.